Hello everybody, it's me Charlotte. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day so far today, because today we are going to do nothing but talk about flicking, throwing, picking, continental, English style knitting, and what all that means. I personally am an English knitter that flicks, I guess. I think that's what they call it. But I'm going to go over all the different styles with you, and hopefully you guys can learn something or take away something from this video and apply it into your knitting, and maybe it'll help you gain a little bit of more speed or just be more comfortable holding the needles and the yarn. Before we get into that though today, real quick, I want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel. Thank you for liking and commenting and sharing my videos. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so now, and don't forget to click that little bell icon when you do. That way you're notified when I upload. There'll be links in the description below if you'd like to follow me on Facebook or join my private Facebook group. Okay, so what is flicking and throwing and continental and picking and English style knitting? Well, we're gonna go over all that right now. I'm first gonna show you what I do. I am an English knitter and I flick, but I didn't start out that way. This is my style of knitting. I hold my yarn in my right hand and I wrap my yarn around my finger, and that's how I hold my yarn. I do that, and I'm pretty sure that is what they refer to as flicking. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I'm not always right, so correct me if I'm wrong. But all I do is I hold my yarn like this. I just hold it in my fingers, wrap it. But the trick that I do is I hold my yarn out, and I do a lot of work with my left hand. I actually push that, and when I push this, it kind of pushes my needle for me. Like I hold my needle with my middle finger and my thumb, and when I take my left hand here and I kind of push my work, it kind of puts it in position to where I just wrap it and go. Let me show you again. So I put it in, I hold my needle like this. So my hands are working together. This hand isn't doing much, but just sticking the yarn out and wrapping the needle. So I push it with my left hand. Push my whole work with my left hand, and it kind of makes this needle kind of pivot. Instead of pivoting it with this hand, I let this hand kind of push the work and pivot. I hope that makes sense. And you can get into a pretty fast rhythm with doing it that way. And that's how I do it now. That's my comfortable way of knitting and how I do it. How I used to do it will be the English style throwing method, and a lot of beginners start out this way. That's why I used to do it. I was a beginner. And what that means basically is you insert your needle into your stitch, take it, wrap it around, and pull it through. Now the problem with it, and there's really no problem with it, but it's hard to get tension, your tension correct. So that's why knitting takes a lot of practice. You practice your tension, you have to practice your knitting style. There's so much to practice with knitting, but that is considered throwing, and it's just where you put your needle in the stitch, grab your yarn, wrap it around, and pull it through. So that would be English throwing. Just like that. And like I said, this is how I started out, and there's nothing wrong with it. And some people are really fast knitting like this. You can get really fast any style knitting. It's just what is most comfortable for you. So this is the English throwing method, and it's literally just throwing your yarn over the needle each and every time. And like I said, nothing wrong with it. A lot of people knit this way. It's really not that bad. And purling, you would, of course, purl. You put your yarn in the front, wrap your yarn, and you just purl. But you just keep throwing the yarn over each time, and that's why it's called throwing. Now to purl, the style I did, I should have showed you this earlier, but to purl in the style that I do is pretty easy too. Put your yarn in front, put your needle in the front, and you still use the same motion. You just push make sure your left hand just pushes your work, And your hands kind of really stay still. I mean, you don't have a lot of, you know, movement with the wrist so much. You just hold your yarn up, push, and you pull it through like that. So, I mean, it's not that difficult either. This is the flicking English style. Yeah, this is how I do it. And I think that's the right term. I'm not sure. If it's not the right term, I'm sure someone will correct me, and I'm okay with that. But that is how I knit. Okay, so now we'll do Continental. And Continental, I am not a good Continental knitter. You would think that I would be. I mean, I crocheted well long before I started knitting or knew how to knit. And you would think that I would be used to holding my yarn in my left hand, but I'm not. Continental knitting is basically where you just hold your yarn in your left hand and you knit that way. And that's why it's kind of called picking. Like, Continental knitters usually pick. And this is Continental style. You keep your yarn in your left hand and you kind of just insert your needle into your hook, wrap it around, and it's so hard for me to get a good, let me bring you guys in close so you guys can really see what I'm doing here. I'm not good at this style, so please don't judge me. But that is Continental. You put your needle in, you kind of pick your yarn, and you bring it through. And the problem I have with Continental style is I can never keep my tension correct. It's very loose. And my yarn does not glide through my fingers as nicely as I would like it to. So I have a lot of stopping and starting and readjusting, and I think that personally slows me down. For the people who can Continental knit, my hat goes off to you because I can just not find comfort in it. And I've always wanted to because it looks like it can go really fast if you're good at it. So yeah, this is Continental knitting. Now, Continental Purl is a little tricky. Some people get kind of caught up in the Continental Purl because you can purl incorrectly when you're doing it Continental. And what I mean by that is the easy way would be like this. This is the wrong way, by the way. But the easy way would be you have your yarn in front to do this. That seems like a much easier way to do it, and I agree. It is a lot easier to do it that way, but that is not the correct way. To purl, you actually have to go over. Your yarn has to go over, and then you slide it down like that when you Continental knit. So it wraps on top of your right needle. You pull it down. Now, some people are really talented, and they can, let me tighten up my yarn and see if I can't do it. I don't think I'll be able to, so I apologize, but I'll try. Some people are able to actually somehow bring their finger down like that and purl that way. I can't do it. I'm not good at Continental, okay? I'm trying, guys, but I am just not that good at it. But that is Continental. Usually Continentals are pickers because they kind of just pick that piece of yarn and they bring it through and they can do it really, really fast. I am not one of those people, but I do try. But that is the difference, guys. That is Continental knitting, English knitting, picking, throwing, and flicking. There's so many different terms. I know it can be overwhelming. But that was how I knit. I'm an English flicker, I guess. Try that technique. It worked out for me. But I want you to try them all. If you're new, you really have to just, dedicate yourself to one for a little while. Try it out and see if you like it. See if you can pick up the rhythm. If not, try the next technique. And you just keep trying to find your own. And maybe your own technique has never been done before. Or maybe no one knits like you. And that's okay. There is no wrong or right way to do it. You just do what works for you and what's comfortable, and you make sure your stitches look like they're supposed to. Doesn't matter how you get them, just make sure they look like they're supposed to, and that's all you need to do. But that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you all have a really good day. I hope you have learned something here. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so now. If you haven't followed me yet on Facebook, There'll be a link in the description below, and also there's a link in the description below if you want to follow me or join my private Facebook group. So until next time, guys, I hope you all have a super wonderful, fabulous day, and happy knitting. Bye!